evening all. So, welcome everyone to episode 8, Shark Attack Case Files. So today we're going back to our favourite place, Shark Attack capital of the world, Australia. We're going to Western Australia, and this group of 3 islands here, just on the continental shelf, the Hootman Abalus Islands. So yeah, there's these three distinct islands here, just off the coast. So there's about 122 islands in total, so about 60 kilometers off of Geraldton. Yeah, and there's these three sets of islands, and you've got what they call the Abalus clusters, three main groups: the Willoughby group up the top, Easter group, and the Palzat group, which is named after Francesco Palzat, which is some cretin in the Dutch merchant navy, or the what would you call them? Yeah, Dutch merchant. What do they call East India Company in like the 1600s? Shipwrecked here, killed a load of bears. So yeah, the attack took place off just off the southern tip of Palzat Island, just off here, which is off the continental shelf, Western Australia. So if we just kick off with some stats, I mean, episode 1 was about Australia, so we know there's been, yeah, close to 454 confirmed, confirmed fatalities in Australia. So a hefty number. Then in Western Australia, 34 fatalities. So yeah, this attack took place, and just off that southern point of Palzat Island is that's called Wreck Point, where that Dutch Navy vessel ran aground hundreds of years ago, so that's why it's called Wreck Point. Yeah, January 2005, Saturday the 19th. The victim was a male, Jeff Brazier. He was snorkeling, and he was killed by again, a giant great white shark, estimated to be six meters in length, which is 18 feet. And the time of the attack was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, dead. No pun intended. So the water depth, yeah, it was quite deep. Well, that area is as I mentioned, is a continental shelf, so it gets deep very quickly, and then obviously drops off down into the main part of, I guess, the what is the Indian Ocean. So it grades off from 40 meters, and every kilometer it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper till it drops right off of thousands of meters of water. So the moon was in the quarter first phase. Temperature, or the water temperature, is warm. It's quite warm up there in the Indian Ocean. So 20 to 22 degrees, very good visibility, obviously for snorkeling. Injury fatal. A narrative. Well, there was a group of 13 people on a pleasure trip, sightseeing trip, snorkeling, whatever they're doing out there, drinking a few beers, having a good time. Yeah, and just as if you've got a visual here, you can see this is Wreck Point, Palzat Island is just off the edge here, and you can see the water depth grades off. So I have access to Admiralty charts, so I can map these water depths. You can see how it grades, and gets deeper and deeper and deeper. You got like 2,000 meters here, and they reckon that these large female sharks will cruise the edges of these continental shelves where you get these gradients. So they'll cruise these areas so they can move up into the shallower water quite quickly. It's just perfect habitat for large great whites. So get into a bit more detail. So this guy Jeff Brazier, yeah. So he was only a young lad, 26. So this guy loved the water, loved water sports, surfing, snorkeling, boating. He lived around boats all his life, and he'd actually took up this charter. This is like his dream job. So this is like the first time he'd gone out on this charter on this boat was called the Matrix, like a luxury charter boat, catamaran. I think it'd come up from Perth to the Kimberley area on the western coast. And this guy, I mean, he'd already had always had an affinity with the ocean. Yeah, loved it all. I mean, this charter, yeah, it's like his dream job. And this is the first time they'd gone out, which is, yeah, I mean, for me, this attack, I've read lots of attacks, but this attack has to be the, what I would say, the most unluckiest attack ever, because this guy was just extremely unlucky, because this is what is called an open water attack, because most attacks are coastal. Although it was next to not a small island, it is in deeper water, a lot deeper water, and I'd say, I don't know what the number would be, but well into the 90s, you're going to get attacked on the coastline of a main landmass. But this attack was an open water attack. It's just the stuff of nightmares. This shark came out of the deep, basically, just absolute monster. So they'd booked this pleasure cruise. All these people, as I said, 13 people on this catamaran, and they'd made their way up the coast to this Palzat Island, and then they'd moored up off Wreck Point. And some people had got in the water, some people were on the boat, and they were snorkeling, having a good time. It's absolutely pristine conditions. And then, just out of absolutely nowhere, this giant great white shark came up out of the deep and basically just cut this guy in half. They reckon it just, yeah, bit him in half, and then took half the body away. And then obviously the people got out of the water. Obviously they were all, terrified, shocked, couldn't believe it. It must have just been absolutely harrowing to witness it. They all witnessed it, because it's just because of the way the conditions are. You can see everything. And then they reckon 10 minutes later the shark reappeared and just took the other half of the body. And then they never found anything ever again. So yeah, absolutely extraordinary bad luck. I mean, this is the type of I mean, the antithesis of this would be like winning the lottery in reverse, isn't it? I mean, it's just unbelievable how unlucky this guy was. First day on the job, and you just get murked by a great white out of nowhere. I mean, it's absolutely savage. Uh, yeah, I mean, there was obviously a lot of eyewitnesses, and they're the only ones who can testify to the size of the shark. And there's a few people. As one guy said that he actually was swimming back to the boat because his mask was leaking. I mean, how lucky was that guy? I mean, he could have been the guy who got hit, but his mask was leaking. He's swimming back to the boat, saw his mask out, and then as he was turning, I think, to get out of the water, he saw the shark hit Jeffrey and kill him. He said it was an absolutely ginormous shark, and he said he estimated it to be, yeah, definitely 6 meters, huge shark. Uh, yeah, and then they did try and search for his body, but a lot of experts say up there's a lot of strong currents, and because there's so much wildlife up there, his body would have just been, even if the shark itself didn't eat him, other animals would have come in and just cleared it all up. So they called off the the search effort quite quickly, and the coroner just marked it down as a shark attack, shark fatality on the death certificate. Obviously, no body to retrieve. Yeah, I mean, like I say, the main point of this attack is, I guess, it's just the open water. Like, these attacks are so rare, you won't find many of these attacks. Like, most of the attacks that I would talk about would be always coastal attacks. They'd be within 30 meters of the main coastline, and the fact that this one was like just close to the continental shelf makes it quite rare, because it is definitely, it is open water, and the chances of this happening, I mean, millions and millions to one, I would imagine. Something along those lines. And there was no other activity in the area. That's the other thing. There was no one fishing. There was no one spear fishing. There was no chumming. There was no other boating activity. You're talking like pristine nature these guys were in, and this shark was, yeah, still there, still frequenting the area. And that's it. Yeah. So be careful out there in open water, guys, because those sharks will still get you. I think that's it for today. It's a short one, so I'll see you next time. Love you, drop stuff out.